What scandals rocked wrestling's first Hall of Fames? In 1993, WCW and WWF were battling for supremacy in the world of professional wrestling. 1993 was a down year for WCW and WWF because of the ongoing steroid scandal that was making national news. WWF and WCW had noticeably downsized their production for TV and using smaller venues for house shows. Early in 1993, the most notable legend of the time, and maybe still to this day, from the world of professional wrestling, passed away on June 28, 1993, Andre the Giant. On March 22, 1993, an episode of Monday Night Raw, the WWF inducted Andre the Giant into the brand new Hall of Fame with a video package detailing his career and life. This sparked WCW's idea to turn the Hall of Fame into an event with many legends celebrated for their pro wrestling careers. How did egos spark Hall of Fame drama? WCW decided to turn their Hall of Fame into an entire event named WCW Slamboree, a Legends Reunion. They named a who's who of past legends to be inducted that year. Lou Thesz, Vern Gagne, Mr. Wrestling 2, and Eddie Graham. Many of these wrestlers having long-time heat with Vince McMahon for the way Vince Jr. handled business in the 80s when expanding and changing what the older legends stood for in pro wrestling. Lou Thesz is someone who despised McMahon for what he had turned pro wrestling into. WCW's very first name announced was Lou Thesz for this honor. Lou Thesz was a wrestling icon, a six-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion whose career spanned from the 1930s to the 1970s. He was a purist, deeply rooted in the traditions of professional wrestling, valuing its athletic legitimacy and the territorial system where regional promotions like the NWA thrived. Vince McMahon, on the other hand, was the driving force behind WWF's transformation into a global entertainment juggernaut. By the early 90s, McMahon had already dismantled much of the territorial system by expanding WWF nationally, signing talent from regional promotions and focusing on larger-than-life characters over technical wrestling. The specific heat between McMahon and Thesz likely intensified around the early WWF and WCW Hall of Fames. Vince McMahon had complete control over who got inducted into the WWF Hall of Fame, but in WCW they took a different approach. The selection process involved input from key figures within WCW, notably Gordon Solie, the legendary announcer who hosted the ceremonies and deeply respected for his knowledge of wrestling history. WCW bookers of 1993, Ole Anderson and Dusty Rhodes, also had say, as well as the newly appointed executive producer Eric Bischoff. Between 1994 and 1996, the only three WWF Hall of Fames in the 90s, with Vince after the initial Andre induction, Vince never inducted Lou Thesz. In fact, the only wrestler to get into both versions of the 90s Hall of Fames when they were active is Ernie Ladd. Ladd was inducted in the WCW 94 class and the WWF 95 class. Ladd also worked back-to-back for the promotions in 94, inducting Bobo Brazil in the WWF Hall of Fame. WCW's celebration of legends like Lou Thesz exposed the bitter divide with McMahon, whose snub of Thesz showed egos trumped legacy, setting the stage for the bigger Hall of Fame battles. How did Randy Savage's influence stir WCW Hall of Fame trouble? Gordon Solie was the head of the WCW Hall of Fame committee. Randy Savage had come into WCW in December of 1994. WCW Slamboree was held in May of 1995. One of the inductees for this year was going to be Angelo Poffo, Savage's father. Gordon Solie was strongly against this induction, feeling that the recently signed megastar Randy Savage was leveraging his political power to induct his own father into the Hall of Fame. It is also speculated that Solie was against this because Angelo Poffo founded International Championship Wrestling, one of the National Wrestling Alliance's direct rivals. Even with the pull Solie had as the head of the Hall of Fame committee, he could still be trumped by higher-ups who wanted to make Randy Savage happy. WCW went over Solie's head and inducted Angelo Poffo anyway. To try and appease Gordon Solie, WCW decided to also induct Gordon himself in that year to try and smooth over the heat boiling behind the scenes. What is said to have been a complete surprise to Gordon Solie, Dusty Rhodes steps up to the mic right beside Gordon, who was the MC, and started to speak about Gordon, his career, and how it is unmatched. Visibly, you can see Gordon Solie did not expect this to happen and was truly shocked during his speech to the inductees and the live pay-per-view audience in attendance and at home watching on TV. WCW tried to smooth everything over with this surprise moment for Gordon Solie. Solie was humbled but stood his ground about the issue with Poffo and quit WCW right after this event. Savage's power play humiliated Solie, shattering WCW's Hall of Fame dream and exposing wrestling's dirty politics, yet the drama wasn't over. How did the Monday Night Wars kill the Hall of Fames in the mid-90s? WCW's last Hall of Fame was Slamboree 95, and WWF's last Hall of Fame of the 90s was the night before Survivor Series 1996. During the down years of pro wrestling, the Hall of Fame added a level of prestige to a floundering niche. After the debut of Monday Nitro in September of 95 and the debut of the NWO in 96, WCW started to catch steam, and with no Gordon Solie to lead the charge for a possible 1996 class, WCW decided it was no longer appropriate to honor those who had gone before them. WWF, coming out of the 1996 Hall of Fame, was entering a new era. WWF started to get edgier throughout 1997, leaving the new generation for the Attitude Era, and also stopped doing Hall of Fame ceremonies. WCW and WWF were more focused on each other and the competition for ratings happening every Monday night on live TV. The Hall of Fames wasn't officially closed, just ignored. WCW's Hall of Fame was officially closed when WWE bought the rights to the company in 2001. WWE reopened their Hall of Fame in 2004. Interestingly, 2 WCW Hall of Famers were inducted in the reopening class in Big John Studd and Harley Race. Still to this day, not all of the WCW Hall of Fame members have been entered into the WWE Hall of Fame, and some may never be. The Monday Night Wars buried the Hall of Fames in the 90s. It would take nearly a decade to bring the tradition back. Who is your favorite Hall of Fame inductee of all time? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, check out the time that Andre the Giant hit the Atlanta bars with Tommy Rich and Rick Martel in the early 1980s. You can check that out right here.